Hi, hello, welcome to Cosmic Tickle, my show for all the sensitive, creative, visionary, differently thinking folks who want to create life of fulfillment on their terms. My name is Gosia. Today's topic is going to be the single advice I would give to my younger self as a very sensitive person who perceives the world completely different from everyone else. And this is the one advice that would make everything else easier. So I was really having to think a little bit about the topic for today's episode, and I have an ongoing list of like 200 of topics, but I wanted to be really focused. However, the advice that I give you might be easily passed up on. That's why I'm gonna give you a little bit of context, why it's important, about my life situations, that you can see through them how my life would have been easier, maybe your life as well. And then I will give you also the ideas how you can get yourself started on applying this advice, because it has a little bit of a trap that is kind of built in, and it is easily misinterpreted, misused, you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm just gonna give you a couple of examples from my life that will build up towards the advice, that you can understand the context where I'm getting, because like I said, the advice itself can sound so easy to pass up on, and maybe I have passed on it in the past, and maybe you did as well. So the context is actually quite important. So I am a person who is perceiving reality completely different. I'm not only very sensitive, like extremely sensitive. I'm not reactive, that's not the same thing anymore. I'm not reactive, but that's a subject for another topic. I respond with senses to a lot of changes that are going on. In the past, that had been overwhelming, so I would avoid and I would maybe question my senses, because people around me would tell me, well, this is not right, you're just weird, this is not how it is, this is how you should look at this, like, and that would make me doubt, right? And maybe you experience this from early in your childhood, that those voices from the outside that, they should mirror and validate our experience, they were actually invalidating your experience, right? So I had that kind of experience where, my perceptions, my ideas, my needs would be invalidated, and listening to the inner voice, listening to the inner talk, as I call it, was kind of not meeting the resonance from the outside, where people like parents should mirror and say, yeah, you're right, this is how you perceive reality, so therefore it's kind of okay for you to explore the world from that perspective, right? And when you've had an experience like mine, where you are constantly said you are too this or you are too weird, kids would not want to play with you because you are so different, adults would think you were strange as well, and everyone wanted for you to be different, we started doubting, right? We started doubting our senses. And, later I went to life into situations such as work life, where I had so much to offer. I had so much intuition and understanding of how things were. I had a bigger vision, but the self-doubt that had raised itself in me would stop me from believing myself, would stop me from trusting my knowledge, from trusting that I knew what I was talking about, that I knew what I had to offer, that I could be confident with offering these skills. And Back then I was a designer, back then I was an artist, and I had so much to offer. You know, the stubborn side of me still told me to go for the things I did not have a clue in the ways that I couldn't technically solve these things, but I knew I could do it. Still, there was a lot of insecurities, there was still a lot of doubt, and I could have flourished so much more, right? So I would have been held back by this insecurity and self-doubt from going for more complex projects, for going for more rewarding situations, opportunities, and things like that. So this is one of the examples I could give you, but there was plenty more, but you get the gist. And maybe by this point you can also see if that resonates for you. If that resonates in your life, if that feels true as well, that you had this self-doubt, that you had some sort of insecurity about your perceptions, your view on reality, your skills, your ability to offer some gifts that you had to share, then this advice will definitely apply to you. And the advice I would give to my younger self that would make every single thing easier would be learn to listen to your intuition and validate it. You see how this is so easy to pass up on and say, well, this is so generic. Everyone says it, I'm just going to do something that is very tangible. And now you've got all the science that has become trendy and have gone to almost pop culture, where everyone talks about vagus nerve and everyone does this and that and try to be very mechanical about solving their problems because they trust on something else, right? But here, what I'm offering to you in hindsight of decades of being lost, decades of wasting time, I can tell you for a fact that this is the one single thing that would really speed my growth up and make me flourish so much earlier and easier, okay? Because I wouldn't have to question myself so much. Now, why this advice is so important, the reason for this is that when I invalidated my perceptions, when I invalidated my view on the world, when I invalidated what I know, what I feel deep inside of me is true, I would outsource the power to say what's true to someone else, right? And this is so common for all the people who are insecure. They go out there, they seek all the certificates that would prove that they really know what they're saying, or they are looking out for this one person or this group of people to confirm how good they are at what they're doing, or if their value maybe is that they are helpful, empathetic people, that they are constantly trying to push themselves and prove and even sacrifice to have others confirm that they are in fact being in integrity to that value. And they would go, like I did in the past, a long way sacrificing, going against themselves. Actually, I did go against myself to try to prove how empathic I was, how, maybe good I was in some ways. I am lucky that I had some sort of still pull connection to that core that didn't allow me to, completely lose myself in this. And I did lose myself so badly that I fell sick, that later I went into PTSD from shock trauma that was caused from the illusion that I was living in, and all kind of things that were caused by invalidation towards my senses. Because if you live in illusion, this is like you're basically invalidating yourself all the time. So these are some of the ways that would have changed my life, not to mention situations that I overstayed in. So all the friendships that I could feel that were not serving, the relationships that were not serving, I had kind of an instinct, an impulse in me, but I did not really connect with it, right? It was not validated. It was not really getting to my conscious mind. It was kind of stuck somewhere that I would deny it. And as someone who consider herself as a misfit, as someone who, you know, was an outcast because I didn't feel like I belonged really, I can tell you I recorded also a video a while ago on YouTube that you can watch about not fitting in, and how this is actually, now in hindsight, a sign that we did not compromise like so many other people did, like most of the people did. We did not completely sell ourselves out so much that we fitted in. There is a core inside of us that wants us to get back to this balance, that wants us to reconnect to that inner talk, to that core self that keeps giving, offering this wisdom, that keeps offering a guidance, that keeps offering the ideas on how to navigate life from day to day situations, even in simple life choices. It's all about that. So I really missed out on that. That's why I thought that was without a doubt the most important advice I would give to my younger self, and maybe that's something you can use in your life. Now, here is where it gets tricky, because people grow up and become conditioned in their life. So it is very easy to start mistaking the instincts, like survival instinct, with intuition, because they also speak kind of from the body, right? So you have this inner pull or push on what you could do. And this is, first of all, a process of learning how to distinguish one from the other. The instinct, the conditioned self-survival instinct that I'm talking about, that, you know, we all gotten in our life through early years and, you know, maybe even teenage years of growing up, where we witnessed some situations that we promised to ourselves at this point that we would want to avoid so much in the future, or that we would want to repair them so much in the future. It was all a survival instinct. So maybe you were in elementary school and you had bad experiences with your young, you know, peers. And you promised to yourself, after so many heartbreaks, after being rejected over and over, that you are just going to stay private, that you're not just going to open up, that you're not going to speak authentically, that you will not share your interests because they are quirky. People don't care about your, you know, fantasies and wanting to live in a magical world, or whatever that was on your mind, or maybe being obsessed with numbers or some books or whatever was your passion. And you promised to yourself that, well, people clearly don't like it. I'm just gonna stay shut, and this is a survival instinct. So It might have been embedded literally in your body as a muscle memory, because body kind of encodes these memories together with sensations that tell you what feels safe. Now, it may be unsafe for you to go and meet people because you already know, quote unquote, you feel it in your gut that you will be rejected. You open your mouth and you're just like, ugh, I probably shouldn't be even saying this because these people will say I'm crazy. They will bring me more pain. I will have to heal my wounds for another few weeks, and that's not even worth it, right? So this is one example of how you can mistake intuition for survival instinct. And usually, it's a generalization, but usually you can distinguish this choice driven from that instinct by the element of survival, meaning trying to avoid something, trying to escape some situations, trying to make sure that you are safe, trying to cover all grounds, coming up with all solutions, strategizing, and doing these kind of things that are very, what I call, head-based, but they come from this overthinking, overanalyzing, come from this also impulse of, you have this immediate knee-jerk reaction that is like, this feels scary, you know, I'm not gonna do it. So this is a very good indication that you might be acting out of survival instinct. Now, when it comes to intuition, it is easy to pass up on again for this reason that is much more quiet. It's a yielding voice which is also strong. It is adapting to reality, is responding to reality, but it is also solid in its constant care for you to thrive. It might not be logical by any means. You might even question it and dismiss it for that reason. That's why it's so hard to use, especially for the initial chapter of trying to use it, and especially if you're doing this on your own and you never have been guided on how to do it, right? So the easy way to distinguish it is asking yourself, is the choice that I'm being called to, it feels like it's taking me towards thriving, it's taking me towards a self-loving choice, or is it a scared voice, right? And I give all that outlined in my free guide that you can download from the description of this episode. It's a very simple guide on how you can distinguish between these two voices. And I've been using this for so long, so be sure to download it. This will help you also to understand and distinguish between the two voices. The one, like I said, the scared one, and the other towards something. Not away, but towards. I speak about this so often. This is another indication when you are pulled to something that feels exciting. Maybe it feels scary even, right? But it feels like it's got some juice in it. It feels like it's enlivening you. And yes, there could be still some sort of mistakes, but the more you try to distinguish, the more you feel into, the more you get into your body as you make these choices, as you listen to these voices, as I call them, this inner talk, you will start recognizing the different sensations that come with it. And over time, you will get so much more fluent with listening to that. It is actually so empowering to know how to listen to your intuition. Actually, it is threatening to anyone who wants to control you. Even governments, even organizations, even church promoted being detached from your body, just going into your head, because this is how they can control you. They can control you through fear. A person in your life that might want to manipulate you will get into your head, to try to make you defend yourself, prove yourself, explain yourself, and do all these things that take you away from your body, because this is where you get in touch with the inner talk that is a voice of wisdom. When you learn how to listen to your intuition and validate it, you become so powerful, literally, because you are gaining the confidence from within. You are completely independent from needing validation from the outside. You don't do things to please others because you are secure in understanding that you are worthy. You can still be giving to others, you can serve, you can be super helpful, but you don't do these things trying to manipulate other people, trying to convince and persuade them so that they believe that you are good. You can do all these things that actually give you back so much energy when you are detached from needing validation. Not only that, when you know how to listen to your intuition, you are following your highest purpose. You save yourself so much time. This is like the resource that no one can ever give you back. To follow what is important, what is nourishing, what is creating your life towards your highest fulfillment and enjoyment. And you cut out a lot of the mistakes that are happening along the way when we are listening to our conditioned mind, when we are just trying to avoid situations, but we don't understand that we are actually acting out the old programs all the time. Intuition is something all the time new, is beyond the programs. It's something you were born with, but also is something that develops through your life. However, if you have not learned to become embodied, when you have been invalidated for so long, when you dissociated, when you decided to outsource the power to others because you look out for answers, you look out for confirmation, you look out for people praising you, giving you compliments, you look out for people telling you that you belong with them, then you are constantly slaving for that. You are giving energy into the wrong sources. You're trying to get something that you can get completely directly, but you're doing this by super long detours. And on the way, you're wasting energy, time, resources. And, if you, at the end of this detour, wouldn't learn how to listen to your intuition, which many people don't, even after having so much bad experiences in their life, they still don't learn the lesson. Then after this long detour, not only they would have lost energy, resources, time, they would have lost even more sense of worth, because they were constantly listening to everyone else, which by default takes away from validating yourself. It's like investing into strangers, investing into people that potentially can give you something that is just all the time inside of you. So it's just waste until you have tapped into your intuition. And For me, I have wasted a long time. I've wasted my health away by trying to prove myself, overworking, being super responsible, just trying to prove how worthy, how, deserving I was, by trying to prove people that I belong to some groups, and sacrifice my values, sacrifice my self-worth by giving friends second and third chances. I would give all that in vain without checking in with myself. Does that feel good? Is that person really going to give me what I'm looking for? Is that person really respecting me? Or is it just my attachment to have someone around? The illusion of having friends, illusion of having something, whilst not asking, is that good for me? And validating that if it isn't, I am deserving to go and get the better thing, to get better friends, to get a better job, to get and start a business like I did, because that was better for me. And then when I did start business, listening to my intuition, then after a while of having more intuition, having more self-understanding around what are my real goals, I would even dismantle the whole business and start a new one, because the first one, the second one weren't perfectly aligned. And I would not waste my time or energy on something that can be better, that can be greater, if I just refocus. But for that, you need to listen to your intuition and you need to validate yourself, because this is what promotes a sense of self-worth. And when you do that, over time, you invest more through self-validation, and you keep asking yourself, what is even better? What is even more aligned? What else I can do so that I'm more joyous? What else I can do so I feel more free? What else I can do? You know what I'm talking about? You stop fighting with the world. You stop fighting with the circumstance, like in listening to your survival instincts. It's a completely different sense of choices that you're making. It's a completely different feeling that comes with that life experience. Not only I'm fulfilled, but it feels like a constant progress, and it's happening exponentially. Because in the beginning, you have to get, a grip on this. You have to understand how, whatever you're going. And in the beginning also, you have to make choices that will dismantle the old choices. If you never listened to your intuition, it's 100% chance that you have built your life without consulting your core self, right? And you have been taking a lot of choices to avoid, to escape, out of fear, compromising things, trying to fit, questioning yourself, right? So these choices would have to be changed over time, and you don't have to do them all at once, because it would be like a lot of life changes, right? But slowly you can work on one change in your life to see where that takes you if you follow the sense of self-worth, validation, and intuition. So I really encourage that you give it a proper chance, because as much as hearing that advice, lost in so many amazing advice that you are swallowing each day, it can be like, oh yeah, I just have to listen to my intuition, blah, blah, blah. But I hope that having given you all that background and context around this, you will get more excited, because this is available to you. And if you have a higher sensitivity than, than most people do, then you will be able to listen to that intuition with amplified voice, because you hear everything amplified. That's why I started this video talking that I am very sensitive. I'm extremely sensitive, and over the last decade I increased that sensitivity on purpose to get more in tune with that inner talk, to hear it more distinctly, whilst I have been rewiring my responses to stimuli that in the past I would find threatening. So I am not reactive to anything really. I choose maybe not to expose myself to like super loud concerts, some metal music, whatever, just because I know it's not aligned. But I'm not escaping from crowds. I'm not escaping from bright light. I'm not, having to avoid so many situations that could deem your life very malnourished if you cut out a lot of things. And I was talking about this in my other video, how, highly sensitive people can live on their terms when they understand their sensory perceptions. And I just talk about my sensitivity for you to understand what is possible to you, what you can do with your high sensitivity, with your different perception. If you have perception different than most people, then you have gifts that come with it. And until now, you might have been living under the impression that it feels like a curse. But when you start learning about your perception, about your impulses, you will know that you can turn them into leverage that no one else has. With all your lived experience, with all your gifts, your ways of perceiving reality can be leveraged, meaning they can be used in exponential growth, right? So, for example, for me, it's acute pattern recognition. This is what drove me to PTSD, because sometimes I can just have one information be dropped into my mind and another, and I would create a network of understanding that can be so overwhelming. And it can be applied in so many different life areas, in so many systems, in so many theories, that these few information, they just crushed my brain, literally. And I couldn't come out of the state for a few months. But through following my intuition, I overcame even PTSD, acute PTSD, and complex trauma in less than a year. Okay? So, like I say, there come pitfalls with your nervous system, but when you know how to work it, you know how to tap into those gifts, you can leverage it and just like leap and leap and leap throughout your life. And even if you experience, some setback, you will bounce back. I don't want to even say bounce back, because you will bounce from it to a much higher level than the one you had started from before the setback. Because when you understand your gifts, when you follow the intuition, then you will make more connection, and the setback would have been a source, a breeding ground for all new strength and knowledge and wisdom that comes with it. Like I say, we learn the best through crisis, and I milk every crisis to the last drop. And this is the only reason why I can tell you all these things, because pretty much everything I've learned so far, I have learned through following the inner guidance. I have learned very little from books. I'm not gonna get into why. Another nervous system kind of mismatch with me and consuming information. But I hope this is all opening your eyes to your ability, to your superpower. People don't really talk about that when they speak about people with different perception, with higher sensitivity, with what they call neurodivergence, whatever. Like, it's still, you know, kind of this weird thing that we have to deal with. But trust me, you are like this freaking Harry Potter who was seemingly a cursed child, but he was a freaking magician, right? And you are one as well. I know it may sound a little bit abstract when I talk about this, but I believe that when I speak truth, which it is, you will feel something. You will feel pulled to try and experiment. And if that's true for you, if you felt something there, then it might be very important for you to explore it. And like I said, there you start with embodiment, with getting in touch with your body, with your sensations, getting comfortable with various sensory states, with various emotions, and learning to distinguish what is the voice that comes from your body. Over time, I can guarantee you, you will know it. And you will exactly know which one is the instinct, the survival instinct voice, and which one is health promoting, which one is led by higher belief, which one is led by self-love, which one is going towards growth in life creation other than fighting the old things. So you will start finding your balance. So this is something that I really encourage that you start doing. And if you have any need of guidance, this is what I do. And you can reach for one-on-one coaching. I have a whole program that takes people, get them in tune with their core, so not only they gain self-love and self-validation, they get in tune with their intuition, but find more confidence in dealing with all the different sensory perception and find acceptance inside, because this is what tapping into the core self does. And if you want to understand more about the core self topic, about the core self concept, I recorded an episode maybe 2 weeks ago, so just go 2 or 3 episodes back, that is titled Core Will Save You or something like that, and it explains in full detail what are the benefits of tapping into that core self that supports you through your life, that gives you that confidence. And there is more ways how you can get in touch with it, so I recommend that. For now, thank you for listening. I hope it was useful, and I will talk to you very soon.